You think your dog suddenly barking at night means it heard something outside, but sometimes that explanation is far too simple for what's actually happening. Because when your dog jolts awake in complete silence, stares into the darkness, and starts barking at what seems like absolutely nothing, it triggers something primal inside humans too. Your heart speeds up. The room suddenly feels different. And even when you logically tell yourself there's no danger, part of your brain still feels unsettled. That reaction is not accidental. Most people never realize this. But nighttime barking affects humans so deeply because dogs evolved to detect environmental changes long before we consciously notice them ourselves. Their senses operate differently from ours. Different hearing range, different smell sensitivity, different alert systems, and sometimes your dog reacts to things your brain never even registered. But there's one specific type of nighttime bark that owners consistently misunderstand, and it can reveal far more about your dog's emotional state than people think. We'll come back to that later because it changes the entire meaning of the behavior. Have you ever noticed how different nighttime barking feels compared to daytime barking? During the day, barking feels explainable, predictable, a delivery person, another dog, activity outside. But at night, everything feels amplified. The silence itself changes the experience. A single bark in darkness instantly creates tension because humans are naturally less psychologically secure at night. Visibility drops. Environmental awareness weakens. Uncertainty increases, and dogs know that too. Your dog's instincts do not shut off when the lights go out. In fact, many alert behaviors become stronger at night because historically, darkness increased vulnerability for social animals. That's why dogs often become more reactive to tiny environmental changes after midnight. Distant footsteps, shifting air pressure, subtle sounds in walls, animals outside, unfamiliar scents drifting through windows. Things humans completely ignore or never perceive at all. That's not your dog being irrational. That's heightened environmental monitoring. And honestly, once you understand how differently dogs experience the world sensorily, nighttime barking becomes far less mysterious. Dogs hear frequencies humans cannot. They detect movement patterns earlier. Their smell processing is exponentially stronger than ours. So, yes, sometimes your dog genuinely hears something real while your house feels completely silent to you. But here's where the topic becomes more emotional and psychological than people expect. Not all nighttime barking is about external threats. Sometimes your dog is reacting to internal emotional states instead. And this is the part most owners miss completely. Dogs do not separate emotional stress from physical alertness the way humans try to. Anxiety, uncertainty, loneliness, overstimulation, territorial instinct, and environmental sensitivity often blend together into one nervous system response. Barking becomes the release valve. Have you ever noticed how some dogs bark suddenly at night after major life changes? Moving homes, changes in routine, a new person in the house. Longer owner absences, stress in the environment, even emotional tension between humans. That's because nighttime removes distractions. During the day, stimulation keeps the brain occupied, but at night, unresolved stress becomes more noticeable. Humans experience this too, honestly. People often feel more anxious at night. Thoughts become louder in silence. Emotional tension surfaces more easily. Dogs can experience a simpler version of the same thing. And that changes the behavior completely. Because suddenly, the barking is not always about seeing ghosts or hearing intruders. Sometimes it's emotional overflow finally surfacing when the environment becomes quiet enough for the nervous system to react. But here's where things become even more unsettling. Dogs are incredibly sensitive to human emotional states, especially fear and tension. So if you panic every time your dog barks at night, your reaction can unintentionally reinforce the behavior. Your dog sees your alertness as confirmation that something might indeed be wrong, which creates a feedback loop. Dog detects uncertainty, human becomes tense. Dog senses tension, alert behavior increases. And over time, nighttime barking can become emotionally conditioned even when no actual danger exists. That's why some dogs escalate instead of calming down after owners react dramatically. Your emotional energy becomes part of the environment they're reading. And honestly, most people never realize how much dogs monitor human nervous systems constantly. Now let's talk about the type of nighttime bark that people misunderstand most: the sudden bark followed by intense staring into darkness. This is the moment that genuinely unnerves people because the room feels empty, silent, normal. Yet your dog appears completely convinced something is there. Most owners immediately jump to supernatural explanations because uncertainty terrifies the human brain. Humans naturally create meaning to fill invisible gaps. But what nobody tells you is that dogs often react strongly to incomplete sensory information too: a faint sound, a distant vibration, a smell you cannot detect, movement outside your field of view. And once alert mode activates, your dog's attention locks onto the source intensely. That fixed staring afterward is not necessarily seeing something paranormal. It's sustained threat assessment. Your dog's brain is trying to determine whether the stimulus matters. But now we get to the deeper behavior we mentioned earlier: the nighttime barking that reveals something emotionally important. It's not the bark at obvious sounds. It's the bark that happens after periods of emotional isolation or lack of stimulation, because sometimes nighttime barking is rooted in unmet emotional needs rather than environmental danger. Dogs left mentally understimulated, emotionally disconnected, or excessively isolated during the day may become hyperreactive at night because the nervous system never fully settles. Energy without release becomes vigilance, and vigilance searches for targets. That's why emotionally fulfilled dogs often recover from nighttime alerts faster than chronically stressed dogs. The nervous system stability is different, and this is where small behaviors can point toward bigger problems. It's a dog barking occasionally at night is normal. A dog obsessively unable to settle, pacing constantly, reacting to every tiny sound, or escalating nightly may be experiencing chronic anxiety underneath the surface. But most owners dismiss it as bad behavior instead of emotional dysregulation. Dogs communicate psychological discomfort behaviorally because they cannot explain internal states verbally. So the body speaks instead, through barking, restlessness, scanning, hyperalertness. And sometimes the signs appear quietly, long before owners recognize the deeper issue. Now think about what nighttime really does psychologically. Darkness removes certainty for humans and dogs. And in uncertain environments, instinct takes control faster than logic. Your dog does not need proof of danger to react. The nervous system evolved to prioritize survival over accuracy, because for survival animals, ignoring a possible threat was historically far riskier than overreacting to one. That instinct still exists today, even inside safe homes, and honestly, there's something strangely ancient about that realization. A reminder that beneath modern comfort, your dog is still carrying alert systems shaped by thousands of years of survival conditioning: listening, monitoring, reacting, protecting, even while lying asleep beside you. So the next time your dog suddenly barks into the silence at night, don't instantly dismiss it as meaningless noise. But don't immediately assume something supernatural either. Look at the context, look at the emotional state, look at the patterns surrounding the behavior. Why? Because your dog may be reacting to a real environmental stimulus or expressing emotional tension that only surfaces once the world becomes quiet enough to hear it. Either way, the barking means something. And once you understand that, those sudden nighttime moments stop feeling random. They start feeling like glimpses into the hidden survival instincts and emotional systems still quietly living inside your dog every single night. If this changed how you see your dog's nighttime behavior, then you're beginning to notice something most people overlook completely. Dogs are constantly interpreting the world in ways humans barely perceive at all.